Hello friends, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're decorating the kitchen for Christmas and I have 3 words that I'm going for. So the first is classic, the second is nostalgic, and the third one is simple. Yes, I said simple. You probably don't believe me if you've seen any of my other Christmas decorate with me videos. And don't get me wrong, I do love to go all out for Christmas, but when it comes to the kitchen, because this is primarily a working space, I really don't like to overdo it. I like it when things look more simple and just not cluttered. I mean, that's just my personal preference. So when I say simple, I do mean it, or at least whatever simple is for me. I'm thinking I want to start today by hanging my Norfolk pine garland above the windows. Oh, I just love garlands. So welcome to my apartment, and specifically to my kitchen. Now, for those of you who are new, this is what the kitchen originally looked like before I moved in and before I started my apartment makeover series here on YouTube. And to be honest, I haven't been able to do a ton in here yet because I've been focusing on the other rooms, but I feel like the things I have done in here have made a big impact. Notably switching these floors, making this herb garden shelf, and my favorite touch, this hops garland over the range hood. It's completely dried down now to this muted golden hue, and I know that someday I will have to take it down, but today is not that day. Now, on this note, I normally would take everything down before I decorate any room for Christmas to start off with a blank slate for the change of season, but I can't bear to take this down because honestly, I just think it's part of the room now. But in saying this, you can also probably see that the room isn't close to finished. I want to build out a whole breakfast nook in this area and figure out a better cabinet solution than whatever this is. But all of that will be for a future day. For today, we're decorating this kitchen for Christmas, which I love for so many reasons, but particularly for this kitchen because Christmas decor has a way of instantly making any room happy and complete. Half-finished room with an odd section of your countertop covered in contact paper? No problem, just make it Christmas. So these garlands I've had for a couple of years. I still need to kind of fluff them and make them look more natural. But these are just the original Norfolk pine. I know they've come out with deluxe versions, which are thicker and less sparse looking, but guys, I still prefer the originals, I think. These are just the original 5-foot Norfolk pine garlands because if you want the fuller look, you just stack 2 on top of each other. But if you want just this really natural, simple look, you do them just like this, and it's the easiest tack ever. And then I'm taking one of the sprays, and we're gonna use that to just cover up the center, and no one's gonna be the wiser. This is how it goes. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then, these have been, these have just been in storage, right? So we've got to make them, got to talk to them a little bit. These I stuck in my garland last year. Garland entry. Stuck them everywhere. I'm kind of really liking how this is looking. Just this. But I want to see, what do we think? Adding a touch of this. So this is the question of the hour, my friends. Do we like the cypress pieces in the garland, or do we keep it plain? And seriously, any feedback you guys have, I would totally appreciate, because at the time of posting this video, I will still have time left before I make my full Christmas apartment tour, so I will have time to adjust things. Once I got the garland fluffed and laying the way I wanted to, I moved on to hanging the same garland over the other window. Only this one was a little bit more tricky because we had this light in the way. Actually, when I first moved in, the lamp was hanging all the way down, like this, and I genuinely thought this was one of the uglier parts of this entire apartment.
But one day I was staring at it and wishing I could hang it higher, and I noticed that there was already this built-in hook at the bottom of the corbel. And so I hopped up on the countertop right then and there, hung the light on it, and in that moment, I went from disgust to thinking it's totally charming. And to date, I think it has to be one of the simplest yet most transformative changes I've made in this whole makeover journey. So next up, I found this double-sided velvet ribbon on Amazon, and I used it to dye simple bows on the backs of my chairs. I love this so much. It clearly says Christmas, but in an understated, dainty way. Afterwards, I moved on to making this Christmas floral arrangement. Now, part of the reason why I wanted to do this was because I think it's automatically a little unusual to do a floral arrangement for Christmas. Don't get me wrong, I think they can be beautiful and a really striking feature, but I also know that because flowers are out of season naturally, it can be really easy for something like this to just look off. So what I wanted to do here was to share my recipe, if you will, on how to make a Christmas floral arrangement. By no means is this the only way, but I think it's a safe way and hopefully a way that you could easily take and adapt to whatever you like. The first thing you need to do is find the right greenery. I'm looking for greenery to be darker, an evergreen color, if you will, not a bright spring green situation. And I can't stress how important this is, not just for Christmas decorating, but for anything winter as well. Now, this could be pine, like I'm using here, or something that's already associated with Christmas greenery, but it could also be something like magnolia leaves or a dark fern. There's really many options here, actually. Now, I chose this stem because it also had pine cones attached to it, and I liked the little white tips on it. I just thought those were nice touches, but you can choose, again, what you like. Okay, so now let's talk flowers. Again, this isn't the only way to do this, but I look for two things in my flowers to keep things simple and to guarantee that this will be Christmas appropriate. The first thing is I go with moodier, muted tones. So here I went with this rich plum color and a couple of beige baby breath pieces. The reason for this is because more bright, saturated colors naturally lend themselves to spring and summer, and that is not what we want. The second thing I look for is, and I guess I want to be sensitive here, weird looking flowers, I guess. I'm going for the spiky thistles and whatever this is, definitely not your lavish garden rose. and I guess I just find that when you put these two things together, a moodier, muted color palette with these weird spiky flowers, you can almost never go wrong. It's unique, stylish, and best of all, not that hard to do.
Okay, wait, you guys. Do you see this? Well, actually, first off, I had a friend over the other night. Shout out to Shay if you're watching. And she agreed that it was better with the cypress picks in the garland. So we put them in there. But guys, do you see this? Do you see how that stem totally fell down? I mean, it totally improved itself. By itself. When does this happen? I was actually thinking that I was going to come back and make a swag, which, swags are always great because I was it was looking to, whatever this is. That's fantastic. We're not touching it. We're not touching it. It's amazing. When does decor fix itself? Unheard of. Unheard of. Okay, now look, I hope you are also as stressed as I am about this. Sorry, Christmas video, wrong tone. Okay, but here's what's going on. I have a vision to put this garland of dried orange slices in this hops garland. Now, as you might know, this has been up here now for over a year, and I love it, and I don't want anything bad to happen to it. All I want to do is just add a little bit of Christmas. That, you know what I mean? Like nothing more, nothing less. But because it's been up here for a year, she is quite brittle, and so I'm a little scared. Also, while we're here, let me tell you about this because the results are in. I have had a couple friends here in Pittsburgh do this hops garland now because they saw me do it. Now, if you live in Europe, you've seen this before. This is nothing new. But over here in the US, when people saw me do this, you know, mind's blown. Okay, here's the thing though. Because it's been a year, I have pretty solid statistics on this, I think. And that is that I think the vast majority of women like this and want to do this. You might fit into that category yourself. But here's what I'm telling you about this. Because to the extent that I have found that women love this, I have found that to a similar fury and passion, their husbands hate it. They basically come home and they say one of two things. The first is, why did you put weeds in our kitchen? Okay, that is a classic response from the husbands. And the second is, you could have made beer out of that and instead you did this. Okay, so I'm just letting you know now. The results are in. I think it's pretty clear. And if you want to do this, but you have been warned, there is a very narrow window in which you need to order the hops garland in, because you have to put this up when the hops is fresh, such that it's malleable, and they harvest it in like the first 2 weeks of September. So this isn't a thing that you can just kind of dilly-dally your way in October and be like, oh, you know what, I think I want to put up a hops garland this year for my decoration. Like, no, you have to plan in advance for this one. So this is the information. I'm passing it along. Do with as you choose. Please be wise.
So here's what happened. I put these orange slices in the hops garland with the little mini bows, and I fell in love, and I needed more. So that's what I did. I stuck some orange slices in the arrangement I made earlier, and then I made quite a few more orange slices with the little bows that could act as little ornaments, so I could hang them on the garlands above the windows. Now, to say that I'm obsessed with these would be an understatement. I love how from far away, you hardly notice the bows, but then when you come up close, they are so precious and endearing. And then I just got so inspired by this ribbon that I just kind of draped it everywhere. I don't really know what else to tell you here, except that I just tried to follow as best I could what the ribbon seemed to want to do. And that's these garlands complete. I think they're so charming. And all it took was my Norfolk pine, some cypress picks, orange slices with the cutest little bows, and some drapey green satin ribbon.
Okay, so we're down here in the entryway, and as you can see, I've already started decorating a little bit. Do you guys remember the raspberries that I used last year? Guess what? They ended up here. I put the raspberries in with my Norfolk pine and some cedar, and I think this is absolutely such a fun new combination. And I love the raspberries very much, but the star down here are these little Swiss gondolas. Here's the deal with these, and actually the light up pine cones that I got too. So I have a sister who lives in Munich. By the way, shout out to anyone living in Munich watching this. And so through her, I have been granted a little bit of insider access to some of the things sold over in Europe. And so that's how I got the pine cones, and that's how I got these. So I'm so sorry to anyone who wants these, who lives in the US or Canada or really just not in Europe. because these gondolas and the pine cones are definitely going to be, yeah, they're going to cost you a little bit of an arm and a leg to get them over here, so I'm so sorry about that. But if you do want to splurge on these gondolas, I will put a link in the description box below, and I can at least vouch for their quality. They're made of metal, and I think they're just absolutely adorable. However, practically speaking, I hung them up by attaching these little eye hooks on the back of this artwork, and then I hung the gondolas with nylon thread such that you can't hopefully see it, and it makes the gondolas look, well, hopefully like they're climbing up a mountain, as gondolas do.
So I've been reflecting a lot lately on just how grateful I am for all of you being here and watching. You may not know this, but I started this channel 2 years ago because I loved watching Christmas Decorate With Me videos on YouTube, but I was just tired of everyone doing the same things over and over. And I thought, well, I should just try to make the kinds of videos I wish I could find. I made my first video ever just as a side project for me, for fun. I had 0 subscribers, and I thought only my mom would watch and whoever else she managed to coerce. At the time, I literally had no intention or even a plan of starting a channel, but I posted that video and, well, here we are today. And it's certainly been a journey, and I've learned many things, but one of them is that the algorithm prefers to boost content creators who follow the trends, which totally makes a lot of sense. But it also means that because I don't do that, I've made it this far because of all of you. Everyone who has subscribed, commented, liked, and now the new thing in town, hyped up my videos. I quite literally couldn't be here doing this without your support, so thank you. Everything you do is so appreciated. And a special thank you to my members. And coincidentally, one thing that I never really expected to come from all of this is that it's so fun to read the comments and hear about the creative ideas you all have, and how some of you also plan your Christmas decor a year in advance, and how you too are looking for content creators to break out of the mold. So I'm so grateful for this little community we're building, and I don't know what's to come, but I'm excited to find out. Okay, so here's what the entryway is currently looking like. It's the next day, and I think I fixed this garland to be a much better shape, and I'm liking it. Of course, we still have the raspberries. And what I'm experimenting with is like kind of sewing these like little mini gold ornaments, like balls on the bottom of this bow. I've never done that before, but I think it's kind of cute. So maybe I'll do another one over here. And then this pillow, let me know what you think about that. I think I like it. And yeah, and then what I need to figure out is like, should anything go there? Because obviously we have stuff on this wall and here, but there's nothing kind of straight and center when you come in. So let me know if y'all have any thoughts, because I think I gotta work on that. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, it was time to add the finishing touches in this room. The main area I wanted to style was this mantle, since it's the first thing you see when you enter the room. And instead of decorating it with the traditional decorating principles and typical Christmas decor, I decorated it as sort of a deconstructed table setting. Like quite literally, I used a lot of the items that I intend to set my table with this year as the decor itself. And let's talk about this, because I notice more and more that most people approach buying decor for their homes in this way. They go out and they buy decor items that are only meant to be on display as decor, and then they go out and buy all the practical stuff they actually need, which they will shove somewhere in a cabinet. But the thing is that doing this creates a chain of problems. First, you end up with buying twice as much stuff as you actually need, so it's expensive. And second, it leaves you with a home that always feels off or forced, and not to mention cluttered. So it sort of fuels this cycle, because then you get in a rut of getting rid of your old stuff and then going out to buy more decor thinking that that's going to fix it. But here's my approach. I find I am happier with my home, the flow, the style, my things, when I combine these two categories as much as possible. If I need to get something practical, then ideally it should also be beautiful. If I want to add Christmas decor in my kitchen, I ask, is there a way to make it also functional? I think this is one of the biggest keys to getting an effortlessly elegant look, because it's natural to have napkins and canisters and trivets in the kitchen. And so in this way, incorporating items that are both beautiful and practical amongst your decor unlocks a really relaxing and inviting yet stylish room to live in. you so much for watching and for being here. I would so appreciate it if you would like this video, or even better, hype it up. It really does help YouTube share my content with others. And for me, I'm going to take some time to sit and stare out of this window. Now that my kitchen is all decorated, I might as well sit down and enjoy the relaxing, slower pace of cozy season. And of course, see you next time with more Christmas decorating.